Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Ginny D's historically important video on D&D romance, where she tries to equip people with tools to handle D&D romance. I think this is an extremely effective video, and I think everybody should watch it, but not for the information she gives. It's to learn that D&D romance in 2025, and I think this video is useful to say in this year and until the end of 2026, absolutely no one should be running D&D romance. There's no ability to do it correctly, and the risk so much outweighs the benefits that you should absolutely not attempt this. And I think her video gives really strong receipts for this, right? So let me give you one of the receipts. All right. So one of the things she says, hey, what you want to do is you want to get your table together, and then you have this session 0, and you all explain what you don't want to do, what you don't want to see in the game, and then you agree together what you do want to see, right? And this is so outrageously simple to say and so impossible to do. And I have been guilty of this, and I've done 11,000 videos, right? So I've and I'm trying to be aware of this, where you're just like, oh, I'm just going to say this thing, and it's so easy to say things and so hard to do them, that and it's okay to run into this, but I think as commentators we need to catch people as they fall, because no one should watch this video and be like, oh, I can do D&D romance safely, right? You cannot, right? Like, and I think her video is very clear. If you're reading between the lines, if you're listening to everything she's saying, it's ludicrous, the idea that you could run this in 2025 or 2026. You cannot right now run romance in Dungeons and Dragons. And it's not just romance, it's not just Dungeons and Dragons' fault. It's that romance in today is so outrageously complex that you can't do it. You just can't. All right. So let's get into this. Okay. So a D&D game is, it's the Dungeon Master, the Black Dragon Master, the White Dragon Master, the Blue Dragon Master, the Green Dragon Master, and the Red Dragon Master. 5 players around the table, right? We don't even need to go that far to show you exactly how ludicrous what her statement is, right? So let's just say two, okay? So there's Sarah and there's Stanley, okay? So the Dungeon Master is like, okay, we're gonna do we're gonna open, we're gonna do D&D romance. So let's do our session 0 and talk about that. And Sarah's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Dungeon Master, for allowing this. I just finished Rebecca Yaros's amazing Fourth Wing, Onyx Storm, Iron Flame. And that's the romance I want in this. We're gonna tell our Faerun story, but it's gonna have that kind of and so the Dungeon Master is like, what kind of romance is in there? Well, it's hot and steamy, but the cool thing is, like, the one partner is really smart but highly unattractive physically, and also just has terrible personality points. So the cool part of it is, like, this person shouldn't have any partner, but they're going to have the most attractive partner, right? And so super attractive people are attracted to this unattractive person who has terrible personality traits, but she's smart, so that makes her worth pursuing more than anyone else, because smartness is the most sexy thing, right? So the Dungeon Master is like, okay, that's a good standing set. What do you think, Stanley? So Stanley's like, well, I read Fourth Wing and I was highly offended. I thought it really objectifies men, and all the women just kind of like stare at men in it and talk about them as like their sex objects, and I thought it was really offensive, and I didn't like it at all. Oh, yeah. And so so now Sarah's like, so she feels judged, and she is judged, right? Like, Stanley's like, yeah, you objectify men, right? Like, first of all, that is a terrible start to your Dungeons and Dragons game, that, like, you're not even 5 minutes in and the person's like, I judge you as a person. I think that you objectify the other genre. And this isn't like, I'm not stretching. right? Like these are the hottest books out right now. They are having, like, these are real books, right? Like, and I read Fourth Wing and it was highly offensive toward men, right? But lots of women are enjoying them and lots of men are enjoying them too, right? Like, but I think most men have not read this, and I think most men who read this would be like, oh, that's incredibly offensive. You just took all the misogyny you should have and you just inverted it, like, and then made it a sexy book. Like, and I think that's true. I think it was incredibly offensive to any man. Okay, so let's say they're able to get past this, and Sarah's like, okay, clearly you're not going to go along with this. What would you like? And so Stanley's like, ooh, well, I just read Pride and Prejudice, so I want Jane Austen romance. And so now Sarah's like, okay, yeah, all right, let's give it a try. That sounds pretty interesting, right? And so, and she's like, oh, maybe this will be sexy, right? And, Stanley's like, is it going to be? And she's like, yeah, of course. And he's like, well, we're going to have a little bit of, we're going to gesture towards sexiness. There isn't going to be any sexiness, right? We're going to gesture toward it, well, lines and veils. And Sarah's like, no, the parasol goes up, right? Blocking the sun. And Stanley's like, no, man, we're not going, we're going to lines and veil. Yes, we can do parasol goes up, but we veil there, right? We're not going to show the parasol go down. And Sarah's like, why not? And he's like, that's disgusting. Like, that's not appropriate. Oh, so we're going to do Jane Austen romance, parasol goes up, and we cut to black, and Stanley's like, yeah, you in? And she's like, yeah, how long is it going to be? 6, 12, 18 months, right? Like, and this is the problem, right? Like, it's so easy for her to say, oh, we're all just going to come together, like, across 5 people with all the weirdness that people are into today, like just stuff in every direction, like, and not weirdness like, oh, they can't do that, but weirdness like, not everybody's going to say, it's okay to be weird on your, what your preferences are, right? But the idea that you're going to get people to sign off on this and then sign off on the intensity as well is ludicrous. It is utterly ludicrous. So why does Ginny Ginny D thinks this is possible, right? If she wouldn't give advice that she didn't try herself, no, she wouldn't. But why does she think it's possible? Because everybody she's played with is playing with a celebrity who'll do anything to stay at the table. And Ginny doesn't understand that. She actually thinks she's a regular dungeon master. She's not, right? Like, and like, I don't need to tell you she's not a regular dungeon master. They paid her $5,000 to go to be a DM in a castle, and she had an anxiety attack, right? Like, and the people who paid $5,000 were, like, they were like, oh, we paid $5,000 to make you really sad and upset. Great. Like that's not she's a celebrity. She's a super high-end celebrity, and absolutely nothing she's doing is viable to give anybody advice on anything, right? Like, she lives in a completely different world, right? And the people at her table would never say no to her on anything. So the most outrageous nonsense is happening at her table, and she's blessed to have that. But the idea that she can give advice to anybody, to regular muggles, is absurd. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.